Hello. They call me Sierra Sam. The reason they call me that is, oh hell, I got no idea why they do, but they do. Sound like the neighbor's building something over there. Anyway, what we're going to try to do here is we're going to try to teach you a little bit of the do's and don'ts of finding yourself a little gold out there. Truth of the matter is, anybody can find it. It's there for the taking. It doesn't take a genius, doesn't take $1 million in equipment or anything like that. You do need yourself a pan, and it would help if you had a sluice. And a sluice is basically any device that the water can run through, where you've got what you call riffles, and a riffle is just it's a block. It can be a stick of wood, it can be anything that the water goes over, and then it creates an eddy on the back side of it, and that churns up the sand and the rocks and everything, and the lighter material keeps on flowing, but the gold drops out behind that or in front of it sometimes. And sometimes when it's big enough, it just flops right down in your sluice and you go, oh golly. So what we're going to do is we're going to show you a little bit of how to look for it, you know, where it might be hiding, and how to pan, and how to put your sluice in the creek and get the right flow going, and basically just to show you that you don't need a whole hell of a lot to do it, and don't be a sucker for all the gimmicks and the stuff that's out there, because you don't need to spend the money on it. And I'm here to show you that, and we'll have some demonstrations along the way that kind of show you the nature of gold. You know, how it flows, what it reacts. You know, it's a heavy metal. Heavier than most, and so it doesn't like to flow with other stuff. It kind of goes its own way, and we're going to show you where it goes. So stick with us, enjoy the ride, and we look forward to having you with us in this little journey of ours in how to and where to find gold. Hope you enjoy. Sierra Sam here. Welcome back. Hope you enjoy this little escapade we're on today, and that is what you can use to pan with. Now, the truth is, the answer to that is most anything. I kid you not. You could use a 5-gallon bucket if you wanted. You could use a hubcap. You could use a bowl, kitchen bowl, cereal bowl. Hell, you could use a canoe if you could shake it fast enough. But we're here to show you that you can use most anything for panning. I mean, they call it panning because that's what they used way back when, was a pan. If they used a box, then they probably would have called it boxing. But somebody else already used that term. Yeah, isn't that right, Muhammad? Anyway, Ali, not the other guy. Anyway, you can use coffee cans. You can use a soda bottle. You can use a dish pan. Yeah, you could use a dish pan. There ain't a whole hell of a lot you can't use. So, like I said before, don't be spending a whole bunch of money. You get into this hobby, which can soon turn into an obsession. It's a lot of fun. It's time to get out with the family, get out with yourself, get off the couch, get out into the sunshine, or in my case sometimes the rain and the cold and the snow, but you get out, and getting out's what it's all about. Getting out is what it's all about. So sit back and enjoy this this episode. And like I say, this is just one in a series of gold panning and prospecting in Gold Rush, California, which is going on, has been going on. It's just people have been keeping it on the down low, so to speak. But it's been going on continuously forever. I mean, since written history, I would imagine. But here in California, it's been going on more notably, and in almost every state in the Union, there has been a gold rush of one sort or another. So, you know, no excuse not to get out there and give it a try. It's a lot of fun. So, anyway, stick with us, and we'll show you a little bit about alternative methods or devices for panning. All right, here we go. All righty then. Now we're going to pan for a few things here, and one of them not so orthodox, but a few of the things that we're going to pan for is well, first and foremost, we're going to pan for gold. Okay, that's a gold nugget. All right, found up in the Sierras, and we're just going to show you that again, with the nature of gold, how it flows, how it drops out. So we're gonna throw that in the pan and then see if we can't recover it. A couple other things, BBs. That is just regular little BBs. Yeah, see that BB? Okay, that's a BB. BB. Anyway, so the BBs we're going to throw in the pan because they're steel. They're heavier than most rocks, and we should be able to find them in the bottom of our pan when we use our different devices. And then last but not least, my aunt. Yeah, God bless her. She's a great lady. She gave me something that we're going to try panning for, and that's this thing here. That's her gold tooth. So we're going to see. Now I'm imagining that's mixed with some other metals, but it should be heavy enough to work. And the reason I'm sure it's mixed with other metals is if it was just pure gold in your tooth, it would probably wear down, and it wouldn't be much good, you know, because gold's pretty soft. So what we're going to do is we're going to put a little gravel in the pan or other devices. We're going to throw in the gold, the BBs, the tooth, and see if we're successful in panning it out. So stick with us. Here we go. Well, alrighty then. So you still think you want to take up prospecting? Well, you're a fool, but let's help you make it a little bit easier. Now, first off, take all your money, run down to the store, and buy yourself all kinds of stuff you don't need. Yeah, all that fancy stuff that they're willing to sell you for prospecting. You know, a fool and his money are soon parted, and the real people that are making money out there are the ones that are mining the miners and selling you all the newest and greatest and experimental and this and the truth of the matter is you don't need any of that stuff. I'm here to show you. Now you can. You can. Here's a couple, well, a few examples. All right. Now, these are pans. These are commercial pans. All right. This one here. All right. This is a big ass pan. I mean, this is a pan. It's from Proline Mining. Okay, it's a big pan. Now, the problem with a big pan is it's heavy when it's full of stuff. So, unless you're Arnold Schwarzenegger, you don't want to be using a pan this big. It's nice, it's big, it makes a good catch pan, but you don't want to use that thing. It's just too damn big. A popular model is this guy here. It's green. It's got one of the things that all of these have in common are the riffles. You see these riffles in here? Okay, they work just like a riffle in a sluice or something like that. It's just a little nook and cranny for the gold to get trapped in, and where the heavier metals have to work their way over, so they have a tendency to stay in the pan a little bit longer. This is another one. This is the green one. It's who in the hell is this? This is the Gold Catcher. This is by well, it's made in the U.S. Oh, this is you want to spend your money, you can join the Gold Prospectors Association of America, and you know, you give them your money, and they'll give you this pan. Anyway, here's another one. Now this one here it's black plastic. This is made in Taiwan for Pan, Pick, and Shovel Mining Company in Colma, California. Now this it's a little unique in that it has a drop down in the bottom here as more of a catch-all than in the backside. Backside is just straight over and up, and it's got a few riffles in it to help catch stuff. Anyway, it's a fairly large pan and can get heavy after a day's work. Now my tried and true favorite is this guy here. This is a little cheapie, under $5. I got $3 and something. There's a spider on it. Bye-bye, spider. This is very nondescript. It doesn't even have a manufacturer, but you know it's made in China or Taiwan or some such place. It's got a little drop down. You can see on the bottom here, where it drops down right here. So it doesn't just go straight down and then over. It's got a little recess there, and it's got a few riffles in there for stopping the heavier stuff from going out, or at least impede its path. And then finally, I've got a little one here. Again, this one has no markings on it whatsoever, so probably Taiwan, China, someplace like that. Anyway, it's very light. It's great for when you're down to your last little bit and want to clean it up without a whole bunch of water action moving more stuff than you want to do. Now, a couple unconventional things. It's a juice jug. Yeah, a juice jug. You say, what the hell is going to do with the juice jug? Well, what I did was I cut the back out of it. Okay, so what you're going to see me do here is show you that you don't need to spend a whole hell of a lot of money on this stuff. All right. Then I took a pan out of the kitchen. Okay, this is a baking pan. It has a glass lid, but we ain't using that. But I'm going to use that to show you. You can even use something right out of the cupboard. A frying pan. Just a little teeny frying pan. Okay, this one here has seen its days. So we're going to show you. You don't have to spend money. You can get this down at Goodwill or hell, at a yard sale for 50 cents or less. And then last but not least, one of Grandma's pie pans. In this case, a glass one. Now the reason we're using this is so that I can show you how things fall out and settle down in here. And we'll see if this works. Haven't tried it, but I think I can show you that you don't need a lot of money to go gold panning and have fun. So stick with us, and we'll give you a little demonstration on this. Yeah, even going to use a false tooth, a gold tooth. It's not out of a dead person. Don't worry. Alrighty then, let's try our our juice bottle. I've got the gravel in there. Let's take our nugget and our BBs and Blue's tooth, and we're going to dump them in there. Alright, got a little black sand. We'll throw the black sand in there too. See how that works. Alright, so you can see the tooth, BBs. Alright, so what we're going to do is, just like before, we're going to shake this on down. Now, with this, because of the cut of this, I'm going to imagine things going to flow out either side of this. But it's basically going to work the same as anything else. The lighter material is going to wash out. Now with a little luck, our BBs and our other stuff is going down into this lower part. I can't see anything down in there. Now the good news with this is we are still working this stuff out. It's still the heavier stuff. Hopefully it's down at the bottom and the lighter stuff is down there. But we're using the same back and forth motion. Now, we're going to classify, alright? Now, classify just means is we're taking the big rocks and going down to the smaller rocks. Now, I don't see the BB or the gold or anything else down there, and hopefully it's what we got left. Now, we're going to work this down into the corner here. Now, I'm beginning to see a little color down there. Alright, now we're down to not too much showing here. We're going to classify. I'm going to take a couple of these big rocks out of here. And lo and behold, what do we see down here? Alright. Alright, so we'll look down in there. What do we see left? I see 3 BBs, Blue's tooth, and our gold. So as you can see, you don't have to spend a whole hell of a lot of money for getting this stuff. If there's gold, you can use most anything. Alright. First off here, we're gonna add some gravel to our pan. Get a little water in that and wash the rest of it in there. Now there may be a flake or two in here that I didn't get to before, but for the most part this is already panned out and there shouldn't be a whole heck of a lot in there. Get rid of some of this crap. Alright, so we got a pan full of stuff, right? Now, first off, what we're going to do is we're going to take one of these nuggets. Now this one is fairly flat, so the disadvantages with that is water can catch the edge and flop that sucker through. Now here we've just thrown it right down in the pan. Now we're going to take a couple of these BBs. 1, 2. Get one more out of there. Alright, so we got 3 BBs in there. And then we're going to take Aunt Valita's tooth. Now, what we're going to do initially is we're going to shake this down. Now, did you see how fast that piece of gold disappeared? You see the BBs? Do you see the tooth? No, you don't. That's because they're heavier than these other rocks that are sitting on top. Now, what you want to do is you want to shake this stuff down. Okay? And this is what you're doing when you're out in the field, out in the creek bed, alongside the creek or river. You dug yourself a hole and dug up some material, and you're shaking on down. Alright, now, we got kind of dirty water here, and for the sake of demonstration, I'm going to pour off this dirty water. Now, note I poured off the water, but I didn't pour it such that stuff was coming out of it. Alright, now, if you recall, I taught you about the back and forth motion of this. So, what I'm doing is, I'm basically playing the level of the dirt is at the same level as the top of the water. I bring it just under the surface, and with a back and forth motion, I wash the lighter stuff right off the top. And as you shake it, the heavier stuff goes to the bottom, and the lighter stuff has a tendency to work its way to the top. With a back and forth motion, and I don't do that more than 3 or 4 times, sometimes even less. If you got a lot of black sand, gold will hang up because of the denseness of the material. So we'll just wash this back and forth a few more times. And you notice we get less and less. Some of those big rocks have already gotten out of there. See how we can do this in a relatively short amount of time, just for demonstration purposes. Now, I'm no fool. I don't have this going into Never Never Land. That's actually I have that big blue pan down there. It's a catch pan. Now, if you notice what we got down here so far, you can see 1, 2 of those BBs are still in there. And see how that BB tried to work its way out. Alright? Gold will do the same thing. Now, what we also might have in here is fool's gold. Alright, now, so we're going to take, we can see these bigger rocks. We're going to take those out of there right now.
And you can already see what we got going down here. And by washing this, we've got 3 BBs, Belita's tooth. This shiny piece is pyrite, fool's gold, and of course what you have left down in the bottom of your pan there is Belita's tooth and that big nugget, and those other shiny things in there are pyrite. But you see how those things stayed in the pan. And then what we have is black sand. So that's basically the principles. You know, I mean, we can work this, and if you're careful, you can do this and work it down and work it down and work it down until almost the only thing in the pan are the heavy metals. Now what you'll also get down in here is lead. Now, lead is actually heavier than gold, but it's not as dense. So we work that down, and then what do we end up with? We end up with Belita's tooth, the nugget, and the 3 BBs. How about that? All right. So here we're going to use our little pan, our little skillet, and we'll put this stuff down in our skillet. All right. And we'll put our catch pan down in here. And we'll take the goodies that we got from last time. Alright, so on top we go nugget, tooth, BB, BB, and a little black sand. Alright, so I'll put that aside. And now we've got our skillet. Now you can see the stuff on top. Alright, now we start shaking this a little bit, and you see how everything starts disappearing in there. Alright, so with a back and forth motion, we're going to work that stuff down at the bottom, just like we did before. Now we're holding the handle to this thing. Alright, so your basic skillet, work that. Alright then, so what we got next is a chafing dish, or whatever the heck you call this, casserole dish. We put the gravels in there. We're going to take the 3 BBs, bleedest tooth and the nugget. We're going to drop them down in there with that little black sand. And once again, you can see them on top, start to shake it, and they soon begin to disappear as they work their way down. Alright, so, same principle, shake it on down. And you're working the heavies down into the bottom. And of course I've got a little bit of a tip to this, so things are concentrating down in this section here. You can't see anything down in there because there's so much black sand in there. But we know it's down there. Like I said, if there's gold, you can use a coffee can. You can use most anything you want to use. Principle's the same. Shake it on down to the bottom. Wash the lighter stuff off the top. Keep shaking it. Don't wash it more than a few times. You're using a back and forth motion. You're not pouring. Now, I'm using a catch pan on this just in case, but the truth of the matter is you're going to lose some lighter gold. You know, that happens. But the heavier stuff usually isn't going anywhere. Wash this down using the same principle that we use for the plastic jug, for the skillet, for the pie pan. And again, we classify, we take the bigger rocks that we can see, and we just pick them out of there. Alright. You just take them out, look at them, make sure there's no gold in them. And again, washing it down. Getting down to some black sands down here. I see a couple BBs. I'm seeing a little tip of that nugget. And we're washing the lighter stuff out of the top. Trick is don't get impatient. Just take it easy. You know. And what do we got? You're right. We got 3 BBs, a nugget, and Velita's tooth, and some pyrite, and some black sands. Now the black sands could contain little teeny specks of gold, and for that you want to work that with something better than your chafing dish. Alrighty then. Next we're going to use Grandma's glass pie pan. And we're going to take our 3 BBs and nugget and Velita's tooth, and we're going to put it in the glass pie pan. Alright, again, start to shake it, and the things start to sink and disappear. Now, the one thing about this pan is it has a rounded edge on it. So we're going to have to be most careful as we work this stuff down, not to lose it out the end of it. But I am going to show you, again, you don't have to spend a lot of money. Of course, I wouldn't go around using a glass pie pan. Now what I was doing this for was I was going to work this down and hopefully could see things on the bottom. But there's too much black sand down there. It's not going below that. So again, we're going to take that. We're going to use the back and forth motion Doing it no more than 3-4 times. 1, 2, 3. I usually use 3 as a rule of thumb, because any more than that and you can start working gold out. So we're working the heavier stuff down at the bottom, the lighter stuff to the top, and we're washing them. You see the BBs down there on that back side. You can see the BBs there. So things are acting a little bit different in this pan, but the principle's still the same. The heavier stuff goes down to the bottom, the lighter stuff goes out the top. So work it down a little bit more, a little bit more. The thing is, you can't rush it. This is teaches a little bit of patience, although there are folks who do speed panning and do quite well at it. We're working it down, working it down. And as you can see, what we're getting down to, if you can see that in there, I can see the nugget, I can see the lead's tooth. So what we've got is, we've got that rock. But what else do you see down in there? Yep, you guessed it. Boletus tooth, 3 BBs. Looks like, the hell is it? It's a piece of pyrite. Alright? AKA fool's gold. But there they are again. So it's all about the principle and what you're doing here and how you're working it. Now here we see a rock that's been in there the same time as the other, but because of the shape of it, a different formation has been created, both in front of, around, and to the rear of it. You notice that buildup of material right there. So the material that was around that rock has been pushed around by the currents and the eddies and reformed behind the rock. Now heavier materials are going to be concentrating directly behind that rock. It's kind of a slow area, which is indicated by the buildup of the silt and stuff directly behind it, that it's churning around. The lighter material is being washed out and deposited in that heat. In time, that rock is going to disappear. As the sand erodes in front of it and behind it, and depending on the density of the rock, will depend on how fast it disappears. Now, if we had put one of those round BBs in there, it'd all be gone because of the shape of it. But if you can see behind that rock, it's becoming quite a pool, a little hole. You can see some currents being formed. And to study the nature of these rocks is basically to study the nature of gold. Now placers flow with a stream, and when it's raining heavy and you see the streams flowing heavy, rocks such as this, now picture one of those 50, 100, 200, 400 pounds sitting in the creek. What the water can't go over the top, it's going to go around. And when it goes around, it'll form an eddy behind that rock. Heavy materials that have come along, hit the front of that rock, kind of stop there and then work their way around the outsides of it. And eventually, as the water's flowing fast alongside, it'll be pushed into the area behind it and it'll kind of fall in there as the water's churning around, but it really ain't going anywhere. Okay, so now we're thinking about gold, all right? Now, gold's like people, you know, it comes in all shapes and sizes and even colors. You know, it's got different variations in its colors. But one thing you want to understand is, you know, what are you trying to accomplish here? What are you trying to accomplish by panning? Well, what you're trying to accomplish is you're trying to get the gold, the heavy stuff, to get down to the bottom of the pan. Now, what you have to understand is, you got a piece of gold. Now, if it's a little round piece of gold, it goes down pretty good. If it's a flat piece of gold, which in most cases it is, been mashed with rocks and everything else, it's been sitting in between and working and getting mushed, it came in a fine vein and a piece of that broke off and got flattened. All right, now picture all the rocks and gravel, okay? You got lots and lots of rocks and gravel of all sizes. Now you got a piece of gold. Now you want to get that piece of gold down to the bottom. So the gold comes down, boom, boom, boom. You know, it bounces off a rock, boom, and maybe it slides down, boom, 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 and you're washing it, washing. Now this is the big rock. I mean, you picture respectively going down. Okay, and it comes down to our little rock, boom, and it hits the top of our, and we're shaking it because we want it to get down, and then this rock is moving around, and it's going down. Now, and then what happens is there are other flat rocks. We'll take these leaves and picture them as different rocks. So our piece of gold comes down, boom, and hits that. All right, and take this little stick, boom, and our piece of gold hits that, right? Okay, now, what we want, let me show you this. What we want is, we want that gold to get down here. But if it's sitting here, and let's say it's sitting there, and there's another rock sitting on top of it, and another rock and big rock, okay, and we're shaking. Now we're trying to get this guy past these. So we shake and we shake and shake, maybe it goes down one, and shake and shake and shake, and maybe it goes down a little bit more. And we shake and shake and shake and shake. And that's the whole, that's why you're shaking. Okay, you want to get that little piece of gold down to the bottom. But it's in layers. Now when it goes through the first layers, up at the top, things are light, boom, 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 it can work its way down fairly easily. As it progresses, other heavier elements, rocks, pebbles, sand, whatever the hell you want to call it, is down there. So now it can't get so far so fast. It starts hitting all that other stuff. Now you're shaking and shaking and shaking and shaking and shaking, and you're rinsing off the lighter stuff and rinsing off the lighter stuff and shaking and shaking and shaking and shaking, and this thing is working its way down, but it ain't at the bottom. So as you're rinsing, you got to be mindful of where it is. And remember those ones that are hooked onto the other ones, the hitchhikers? You got to be mindful of them, because remember, they're not going to go down so fast. So you may find a little piece of white quartz, and you look at it and it looks like a white quartz, but flip it over and it's got a little hitchhiker on it. Okay, watch for the hitchhikers. Alright, and for you kids out there, never ever hitchhike. Bad mojo. There's people out there. Bad. Anyway, so you're shaking that down. Now we get down to the black sand. All right, now we got the black sand. Now what happens with black sand? Black sand is the last stuff that's in there, and a lot of the fine gold is down there in the black sand, because black sand is heavy. Well, because it's heavy, it starts condensing. Now the gold sits on top of the black sand. Now you've got down all the rest. It got down fine. Now it's hitting the black sand. Well, the black sand's dense. You shake it around, the black sand gets denser, and it's harder to get through that. When you get down, getting close to that black sand, be careful, because it can stratify within the black sand. And so you do a lot of shaking, and you just keep working at that process. You keep working at that process. There ain't no quick way to get through it. Unless you're speed panning for a contest, then they got light sand and BBs or whatever the hell they use. But that's a different game. When you're doing it for real,
Take it easy when you get to that. That's why they got them little tinier pans, you know, for doing that kind of cleanup, because you don't want so much volume of water washing stuff, because now we're getting down to the nitty-gritty. Anyway, so we'll just keep doing this and see if there's anything at the bottom of our pan. We hope. Well, alrighty then. We worked that around there a little bit. We've broken those up and we've kind of mushed them and rubbed them together to kind of break them up against each other, and the little sands pieces get in the little holes and start working stuff out. And we just want to wash and wash and wash and wash, get that so everything's separated. So you want to separate it all so that you can better classify it, because if it's lumped together, it's gonna wash. Now, one of the things that I want to tell you about, which is it's pretty darn important, and that is gold itself is dense and heavy. It has an atomic weight, makes it one of the heavier elements. But there are vehicles which it hitches a ride on, and they're not so dense. So a piece of gold is only going to weigh what it weighs as part of a whole. So if you have okay, here, I'll take this. I got this, there's a rock, right? A lot of quartz. It even has some black quartz in it. Anyway, fun little rock. Now, looks like the camera wants to focus on me and not on this, so you just out of luck. And anyway, so this is going to go through the process, go down the stream and things like that. It's fairly light, you know, as far as having its density. Boom, boom, boom. And a piece of gold, well, this is going do down the stream. Piece of gold is going because it's heavy and it's slow, and you know, fat people don't go as fast as this lighter ones. Anyway, so what we do is, well, of course, that's all relative to size too. Anyway, what we do is we think about a piece of gold hitching a ride on this. Okay, now, so you got the weight of this guy and the mass, and then you got a weight of a little hitchhiker piece of gold. Okay. Now the gold is not going to act like it normally acts, right? Right. Exactly. Okay, so if this moves this fast, and the little piece of gold moves this fast, then together they're going to move that fast. And the crow seems to think so too. So one's going to go fast, one's going to go really slow, but together they go not quite fast as they used to go fast, and not as slow as he was going before. So it's all relative to what it's hitching on, okay, as to where that gold's going to go and how it's going to react. So, you know, you just got to take all these things into consideration. And I mention that because as you pan, where you think all the gold is going down to the bottom, remember it hitching a ride. So I like using clearer water. You know, being in a stream as it's flowing is the best, because then it's always clean and it's nice and you can see what's going on. So as you're working your pan, you can see if something is inching its way to the edge that shouldn't be, and it gives you a chance to stop and take a look at something that might be hitching a ride on. So be mindful of that as you're panning, and also be mindful of that as you're sluicing. You know, don't be too quick to shovel that stuff in there. You want to kind of keep an eye on what's going through. So anyway, so that's what we're gonna do. We're gonna go ahead and start working this pan and working it down to our concentrates and see what's in there. You never know.
Well, they call me Sierra Sam. Yeah, they do. Might have something to do with where I spend a lot of my time, but I have no clue. Anyway, they do. And
the reason I'm talking to you now is we're gonna kind of do a little video here. Oh, shut the hell up. Anyway, we're gonna make this video. It's a little documentary of how to find gold. You know, where to find it. It's sitting there. It's waiting for you. It's not going anywhere unless somebody gets there before you. And even if they do, more than likely, you know, I do own a gun. Anyway, we're gonna show you where gold is found, where it hides, how it flows, how to kill a crow. Yeah, we're gonna show you a couple pieces of equipment. One, a cheapo gold pan. You know, I mean, that's the truth of the matter is that's all you need. Even he thinks so. The other thing that kind of helps is to have yourself a sluice. And we'll show you what a sluice is, what the principles are, how gold works, how it flows, and we'll show you some basic demonstrations of how things. Okay, I got the focus issues worked out, I think. So we'll see. All right, so you got a piece of quartz. All right, and that piece of quartz. Now I'm cheating because you saw that little piece of gold, but that piece of quartz goes through your pan. It'll go through your sluice and right out the other end. However, it's got a hitchhiker. Okay? And that hitchhiker comes in the form of gold. Now, to tell you a little bit about this one actually went through the sluice down into the lower riffles. I had it in a barrel and I shook the barrel and agitated it. It's one of my blue barrels, a 20-kilo barrel. And I found a thing floating on top of everything. All right, now, give you some ideas. That, with the quartz on it, poop, 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 right through. Now, there's a coating, a layer of gold on the top of that quartz rock. But remember now about the atomic weights and mass. The quartz has got no mass to it. 2.66 atomic weight. What are we talking? Silicone at 28 versus gold at 196. So, what's going to go through your sluice faster? Boom. What's going to go through your pan when you're panning dirty water? You're going to lose that and not even know it was there. It's going to go right on out. Yeah, it will. I guarantee it. All right, so to give you an idea, this nugget, okay? You can see that nugget? Is it going to focus? No, it's still focusing on me. Anyway, that nugget. Oh, damn! You focus, for crying out loud. Anyway, that's a gold nugget. Now, when that flopped down in my pan, it just went boom. Well, actually, in my sluice, and it stuck right to the black mat right up on top. It didn't try to go anywhere, didn't try to do anything. It was flat, didn't get any water underneath it, so it stayed right where it flopped. Got through my screen, my classifier, and everything else because it fit through sideways and slipped on through. Then, actually before, was this little bugger. Now, come on, focus on me. There we go. There we go. So, this guy, okay, it's thin, airy, hard edge, came from closer to the source than that flat one that was well worn. But this one here started flopping through my sluice. Would have gone out the other end. I mean, I don't know for sure, but it may have. But I saw this sucker flopping through the sluice, and I thought, well, maybe I ought to just violate protocol and grab that damn thing, and I did. And sure enough, it was gold, but it was flip-flopping and it was going on through. It was working its way. Now, there's a little guy. I don't know if you could see it. It's not going to focus on it. You sure as hell won't see it. But that little guy, yeah, damn camera. Anyway, that little guy has a better chance of staying in the sluice than this big piece with the quartz on it. Again, we're talking about atomic mass and density. It's the density of the material that keeps it in your pan. Now, when you're panning, keep in mind, platinum is denser than gold. It's atomic weight lighter, but it's denser. Tungsten has the same density as gold does. Its atomic weight is a little bit lighter by about, I don't know, 10 or less, 7, something like that. But you're talking about the volume of a piece, how big it is, you know, what it displaces, its mass and its density. So something may have a higher atomic weight, but it's not as dense as gold, so you know what's going to wash first. But you really got to mind that volume, that density, that mass, that old E equals MC squared and all that stuff, you know, okay, because you're going to lose gold. I'm guarantee you're going to lose it. As you're panning, personally, I like to pan in clean, clear water. Stream side is perfect. It's a good life. But you just got to watch what you're doing and pay close attention. Think in terms of that stuff going out. So what you hear where the guy's going, oh, well, yeah, just shake it down and pan it out, you know, in and out like a slot card, and boom, 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 and like you're, be careful, you know. The old timers, well, I don't know, maybe me, I get a little anxious. And yeah, I could pan slower and more cautiously in an effort to reclaim more fines, powder gold. You know, you heard of the proverbial poke full of gold dust that the old timers would use. Well, that's fine and dandy, but you got to be careful and slow and easy, kind of like making love to a good woman. You just gotta take it slow, work it slow to the bitter end, and sometimes that slower, you know, gets them. Yeah, anyway, I digress. Think of that as you're panning and as you're sluicing. You know, watch what goes into your sluice as you're putting that in there, because you can get a hitchhiker, and a good-sized hitchhiker, but if it's on a big enough volume of quartz, it's going to go right on through your sluice, and I guarantee it's going to wash out of your pan first thing. So it's going to ride on top. It's not going to sink down. It's not going to be as heavy as the density sands and stuff like that. It's going to be floating like a quartz, but a heavy quartz, because it's got the gold on it. But be careful. Always turn your quartz rocks over, and hell, any other rock. Turn them over. See what's attached. I've seen cases where gold was on materials that you wouldn't otherwise associate with gold, but it does. You can find gold with a lot of different minerals and metals. So anyway, be careful. Keep it in mind, and happy hunting. Peace, love, love.